Today's outlining day. I am thrilled to be finally putting together a solid outline for my book. I just finished plotting it in the last vlog, and now it is time to outline. For those that are new here, hi, my name is Stephanie, and I am writing a book for the very first time with no prior writing experience. My current task for this book is to complete an outline, and I will be outlining using the index card method. I've talked about this many times in my videos. I love outlining using index cards. How outlining with index cards works is you take an index card and you write a scene on it, and it can be anything. It could be just a fun scene you had, or a pivotal scene, or some kind of action the character needs to take, or something that needs to happen to the character. And then you arrange it in order of the story. The reason I like this so much is because when you're done writing all your index cards and you lay them out in the order of the story, if you don't like the order of your story, you can easily just move the index cards around so you can get a story in the sequence that you want. And the other reason I love it so much is, for me, I'm a very visual person, and I do very well with this writing exercise because it is extremely visual. You have the entire story laid out in front of you, and I love seeing the entire story in my line of sight. It makes it so easy for me to draw connections and see where things need to go and to move things around very easily. It's a lot easier than outlining on an Excel document or a Word document or even in a piece of paper, because everything is in front of me. I don't have to flip pages or scroll through things. For me, it is just one of the best methods. I am dressed in comfy clothes today because I am going to be doing this on the floor, right behind me, right there on the floor. Is that ideally where I want to do this? No, but I live in a very small home, and I do not have the space anywhere in this house to permanently lay out my cards in any way. I do expect this to get quite large, and I just don't have a place to put these. You would probably want to do it like on a board with post-it notes, or lay it out on a work table somewhere. But like I said, I just don't have that space available. So floor it is. And this way I can gather my index cards up every evening or put them away and take them out when I need to. Just logistically, that's probably the best way for me to do this. I've got my index cards here and my blue pen, blue because it's my favorite color. I will always have a blue pen. And I also have my computer. I'm going to obviously open my computer and look through my notes from the plotting exercises. I also anticipate I will have my notebook as well. I anticipate probably at some point either brainstorming or jotting down new ideas, just because my mind is going to be in a zone and I'm going to be outlining and probably coming up with new ideas, and I want to be able to record them. I am going to be doing this exercise for quite a long while. I don't know how long it's going to take, and I don't know, is it going to take days? Is it going to take hours? I don't know how much progress I'm going to make throughout the day. So I'm not going to set any goals or time limits on myself. I'm just going to work. At the end of today, I'll just check in with you and tell you how it went, and then I'll come up with a game plan from there. I've got the whole afternoon to myself, and I am dedicating it to this outline, so let's go. Okay, let's talk about my recent outlining. I am finished for the day. I have to say, I am happy with the progress I made, but I'm a little disappointed that I didn't make as much progress as I thought I would. So I was able to get my story points organized and get a good flow of the story. So I was able to divide up my story into several acts, which will be really helpful for the future writing and planning of my book. I honestly just had a really hard time focusing, because once I laid everything out, I could immediately see where I needed more substance. So let me look at the cards I have on the floor. So most acts have 4 or 5 cards, and there's some that have 2 or 3. So I know that those acts need more substance. They need some other event. And that meant I was going to have to come up with some other plot point or story or side quest for these characters to go on. And that requires a lot of brain power to think up that kind of stuff. And unfortunately, I have a few different things personally that are on my mind, and so I'm just having trouble focusing on my writing because my mind keeps going back to these other things that I'm thinking about. I'm a little disappointed that I can't keep focused, but I know myself and I'm not surprised. I'm gonna leave these cards out overnight. I may stare at them tonight and see if I can come up with some more ideas and kind of play some things out in my head. Maybe that'll give me some more motivation to get this plot going, because even with 4 or 5 index cards per act, and this is talking in like a 9 act structure, because I did the 3 act structure and then I broke each act into another 3 acts. So 5 cards really isn't enough, because some of these cards are like something really minuscule happening in a scene, and then other cards encompass an entire scene, right? Like I have one index card, and I know this really well because it's in the beginning of my book, but I have one index card that is, quite frankly, an entire chapter. And I just say on the card, X scene. And then I have another index card right after that, which talks about like a moment in time in that particular scene. And so some of these index cards are encompassing large things, and then others are small things. And so I know that I really need to put a lot more small things in my outline. And because I will end up putting a lot more small things, I know this outline is going to be huge. Looking at the size of it right now, it definitely needs to be a lot bigger. I need to go through, especially where there's the big scenes per card, I need to go through and either break it down on the card or come up with more index cards. But with all that being said, I am really happy with what I've got. I like my story. I like the flow of the story. I think it's good. It's a good base for me to expand upon in the future. And I'm looking forward to doing a little more outlining on it. Like I said, I might work on it mentally a little more tonight, maybe add a few more cards. And then tomorrow I'm going to try really hard to expand my outline and make it even bigger. It is rainy and nasty today, and it's supposed to be rainy and nasty tomorrow, so I'm not going to really want to get out and do anything, and so it's the perfect time to really sit down and work on this outline. And in case you're wondering, I do want to put a disclaimer in here. I will not be showing the text on my index cards. I want to make that very clear because I don't want to spoil the entire story for you. Anytime you see the index cards, they will either be blurred out so you can't see the writing, or I will have turned them over so they look blank. And what I plan on doing, just to keep these organized, because you might be wondering how in the world you keep all these index cards organized, on the back I'm going to write the act number on the cards. So if it's like in the first act and it's act 2 in the first act, does that make sense? Then I will put 1,2 or something like that. So that way I know where to put it. I'm going to try and collect them in order, but that way if something happens and they get shuffled around, I'll know where to put it. Okay, so this will be enough for today, and hopefully tomorrow will be a better day. Done with my outline, at least for now. I feel like my outline is complete enough to start writing my story, which is really exciting. I have to say I was much more productive today. I know yesterday I referred to some things that were happening in my life that were taking up some thoughts in my head, and today I just told myself, you know what, thinking about those things today is not gonna make them go away, and I'm not gonna solve anything in one day. So I was like, I'm gonna banish these thoughts from my head for one day and just focus on my book. And I have been working on my book all day. It's almost dinner time and I started in the morning. I spent several hours sitting right there, just making my outline. It looks so wonderful. I'm so excited. I found that just looking at the outline was really helpful because I saw places where I had referenced something in the beginning and I thought to myself, oh no, I didn't talk about it later in the book. And so I wrote some more stuff to go later in the book. And I moved a lot of stuff around today because as I was going through the flow of the story, things just started to make sense if I had rearranged them a little bit better. So I did a lot of rearranging. And one thing that I noticed, which was really interesting, and I'm not quite sure how to solve it yet, is when I looked at just the overall, like how many cards I have for each act, I noticed that I am missing cards. Like I have a very few number of cards all in the same act. So I have 3 acts and I broke each of the 3 acts into 3 mini acts. So I have 9 acts in total. So in each act, every third mini act has a very small number of cards. So acts 3, 6, and 9 have, I think it's 4 cards each. And I was really surprised because I didn't even notice that until I had stood up to look at it from above. All the other acts have, I don't know, I didn't count, like say 8 cards, somewhere around there. And each of these third acts have 4 cards. And so it kind of makes me believe that there's not a lot of substance in each of the end acts. And I don't know how that happened. And I'm looking at them, and in my mind, mentally, when I'm looking at the scenes and the things I've written down there, I feel like it's enough information to write about. But the fact that I have so little cards just has me a little bit concerned. So what I'm gonna do in that regard is just write through the first act and the first 3 mini acts and just see if that really is the case by the time I get to that end of Act 1. If I indeed don't have a lot of substance at the end, maybe I reevaluate like how to fix that. Overall, I am really thrilled that I have finished my outline. It makes me so excited. I wasn't sure if I would finish it this weekend or if I would need a few more days to finish it, but I'm really happy with where it is now. Obviously, it's not completely finished. I will be adding to it as I continue to write, and this won't be the outline that is my story by the time I finish my first draft. I anticipate there to be some changes along the way. I will change my outline in accordance with the story just so I can have that overall view of the story and have it like written somewhere for me to reference. So what I'm going to do now is gather that up and make a nice little outline pile that I can pull out whenever I need to. And now I'm going to start writing my book.